What is up, Bucs fans? We are back. It's Real Bucs Talk here live with you. I'm your host, Michael Plus, joined as always my co-host, Mark Ramirez. It feels good to be back
Woo!
because we have a game this week. It's actually game time for your Tampa Bay Buccaneers as they open the preseason against the Cincinnati Bengals. And we'll, obviously talk about that game coming up and, just kind of recap what we've been seeing over the last couple of weeks. I know it's been a minute since we've been live. So, Mark, how are we feeling? How are we doing? And obviously getting ready for football season. I can't believe we're already here. Like it's happening.
Right, it came up pretty quick. I mean,
Yes.
we've both been pretty busy, so a lot of it's that.
Yeah.
And yeah, we need to push out more content. With more content comes games content. There's going to be a lot more coming, so I'm excited for that.
Right.
Just the experience of getting to the games again, going to be fun. But yeah, overall, I'm excited to see some pads hitting pads and just exciting football again. A
Mhm.
lot of continuity, a lot of new fun wrinkles that we see that can come to fruition. We'll talk about that later and go more in depth. But there's just a lot of fun things that this team has, and it's pretty damn deep. And to use a word Jason Light talks about all the time, he wants to build depth, and
Mhm.
it has it. I mean, other than yes, Yaya Diaby going down,
Yeah.
and yeah, he should be ready week one, but still, that is a big deciding factor. That's probably the only area where there's no one really proven.
Mhm.
And the depth there, yes, there's a lot of young guys pushing, which we're going to be excited to see in this preseason game. But
Right.
that's the main key guy. And I'll let you start off with Yaya Diaby, who supposedly in training camp was looking like supposedly the best defender,
Yeah.
best guy in training camp. I don't know how much weight that holds because it's training camp. You're in barely pads. You're facing the same guy every day.
Mhm.
I mean, I guess touch on that. What do you see about Yaya Diaby, that depth piece there, and just this overall theme of the Buccaneers?
Yeah, and as you guys are joining us here, Yaya Diaby suffered a high ankle sprain. That's what they're listing it as. So that happened. There was also another injury. The Bucks offensive free agent signing at guard, Suo Peta tore his ACL. So that's unfortunate. He was in the mix, to be maybe the starting left guard, but now it looks like Ben Bredesen is going to take over that job moving forward. So that's a tough break. That's really been the main two injuries for the Buccaneers so far, which is knock on wood. That's a good thing. There's been some other injuries, kind of minor, nicks and knacks here, but they should all intents and purposes, guys should be ready to go come week one, and that's the most important thing. Especially when you look at like these veteran guys who are sitting out practice. Jordan Whitehead, missing some time, but nothing serious as of yet. Only major injury was the torn ACL with Suo Pettis. So I think as a Bucks fan and overall looking at the team, that's a good sign, and you hope that continues as we fight through these preseason games and hopefully be ready to go week one.
Yeah, I mean, injuries are part of the game. I think you,
Mm.
you heard it from, I think Elijah Klein was saying it.
Yeah.
Um, who else? I think even Barton said it. I mean, that's just part of it. And it was going to be a good competition between him and Bredesen, but now clearly Bredesen has the upper hand and everything. But something we talked about prior, look at the size of this offensive line now. Like
Mm.
the weight, the height, you're hoping you get some push, right? Some
Yeah.
inertia of movement forward, not just everything falling back. And I know the depth chart, which we'll go over later, has Robert Hainsey number one, but you have your other words on that about Graham
Mm.
Barton likely probably going to start. This is just probably just a veteran type of depth chart. But
Yeah.
in overall, the offensive line, let's keep the five that you're going to run with. And that's similar to the same thing that Dave Canales said last season. Like, let's get our five, let's stick with it, and let's roll. And I think Bredesen, hopefully he was already in the upper hand, like to win the position.
Mm.
And Graham Barton, we already think is going to. I think no matter what, he's going to be a head and shoulders over Robert Hainsey based off of ability. It's just more his head spinning. I think that's the only thing I've been
Yeah.
saying since the beginning of him having to learn the position because it's a whole other thing going from left tackle now to center in the NFL. So there's a lot more calls and responsibility he has, and I think that's the only area where he needs to adjust.
Mhm. Yeah, and I think you're spot on that. I think, all signs point to Graham Barton being the starter week 1. He was, with the ones today at practice, taking, a lot of reps. And I think they're just kind of easing these rookies in. I think it's the same thing. You look at the depth chart, I'll bring that up here. No rookies are starting. And I think that's, let me see. Let me go back here. And then, but if you guys can see that, I'll try to zoom in here a little bit so you can, that way you guys can see.
There you go.
But no rookie is starting here on the offense or defense. So you see Graham Barton number 2 there behind Robert Hainsey. Same thing with Jalen McMillan. Jalen McMillan's been the talk of training camp so far, and most likely he would probably be listed as a starter. I know Liam Coen has talked about both of these guys are going to get ample playing time, so it really doesn't matter who per se is the starter, the first snap of the game. Both of those guys are going to play a ton. But you look at the defense, Tyke Smith being listed behind Christian Izien. That is a position where most likely Tyke probably starts. But we'll just have to see. Christian Izien is still a really good football player, had a really good year last year. So I think it's more so the guys are just being told they got to earn, their spots. And I think they're giving the leeway right now to the veterans, and we'll see how the competition turns out.
Yeah, I mean, overall, again, that adds to my point of depth. I mean, a lot of the guys here, continuity wise, are all veterans,
Yeah.
know the system. I mean, I know the offense is a newer system, but a lot of it has carryover. I mean, there's stuff where the main guy you want to know the offense, the quarterback,
Right.
knows the majority of it. He's already been in this before, so he's catching it on quicker. Yeah, because they were asking Kyle Trask about it. He's like, "Yeah, I'm having to learn it again."
Mhm.
I mean, that's just part of it. Baker's already been in the system. He's familiar with it. Great. Let's run with that. Offensive line, they already are familiar with his zone concept. They like that. Continue it, right? And now we're getting some more wide runs, more outside zone instead of the inside zone, which we saw so many damn times last year,
Yeah.
which hurt to watch. But we're moving on.
Mhm.
And yeah, like Jalen McMillan, again, this is something I want to press on. It's pads and training camp. A lot of it wasn't pads early on, and now it is pads, but still, it's like, after probably the first week, okay, I know how to beat this guy, or I know how to savvy my way around. Even though he's a rookie, he's very knowledgeable in his route tree, and he understands how to feel zones and how to open himself up, right? And if you have Mike Evans, Chris Godwin on the outsides, clearly he's going to know how to bait someone that's not covering them, right?
Yeah.
So I would assume he should do well, right? So, and that's the same thing with Yaya Diaby. So I don't take much weight to training camp. He was the best player on the field. You're gonna tell me Yaya was better in Vita Vea, better in Levante David. Like some of these, I know it's like trying to hype train the guy.
Yeah.
But come on. And you're plus like the Graham Barton getting beat by Vita Vea. Yes, he should be getting beat by Vita Vea, first of all. Second of all, it's one-on-ones where Vita Vea will likely never be a one-on-one. There's always going to be help, right? So if anything, yes, you don't want to get beat so immediately off the snap. Yeah, but we're learning that against a really damn good nose tackle, defensive tackle weapon in Vita Vea, who just, and it looks like him, if there's a guy that's head and shoulders above people, this is the guy. He's coming in shape. He trained with Ndam Kansu over the offseason. He's hyping up everyone. He's like, yes, he just has a confidence about him. He's talking more. He's joking around. Usually his interviews were just so bland. That's a guy that I'm even more hyped up about and wanting to see him explode this season. So, I mean, when they say the best guy, blah, 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 I think it's a lot of reporters being reporters. I want to see what happens when the game comes on. If Jalen McMillan puts up like 100-yard effort, he catches 100 yards, touchdown, okay, cool. But so did Trey Palmer last preseason, right?
Yeah.
So let me see it come to fruition during the game.
Yeah, and they're going to be playing against opposing teams the next couple of weeks with joint practices. So I think you'll get a better understanding of where these guys sit and how they're playing against other competition, like you said, where they're not playing their own guys and they understand their tendencies and knowing where to go. But yeah, I think Jalen McMillan obviously is going to be an asset for this team. Same thing with like Bucky Irving. You look at just the rookie class overall. I think it's going to be a lot of good things to just provide that depth, and not saying all these guys have to start, which is most likely the case. You're going to have a few starters here and there. Graham Barton probably being one of them, and then on defense, you look at Tyke Smith potentially being another. Maybe Chris Braswell at some point down the line. Who that remains to be seen.
Yeah.
But really good overall, strong class. The undrafted free agents, especially for this week coming up. I'm really excited to see, bring this back up here. Really excited to see Kalen DeLoach. He's gotten some high praise. He's the fourth linebacker on the depth chart right now. You see him there behind Levante David, Servatier Dennis. So that'll be a very interesting pair to see play this week. And then Tyreek Funderburk is another one that's caught my attention, especially early on in the offseason. We did a video on him and just has a lot of ability. I think he stands out as potentially being one of these corners that maybe makes it on the roster. So, but yeah, a bunch of guys, last year's undrafted darling that, obviously we're a big fan of, Marquise Watts. Really excited to see what he can bring to his game. Is he more developed, well-rounded as far as stopping the run, being in the right spots, doing the little things like that. So those are a couple names. I mean, Mark, do you have any, specific players that you're, really excited to see outside of like the big name rookies?
I mean, I don't know if he's a big name, but Elijah Klein, I'm really excited to
Yes.
see him. I mean,
Yes.
you've heard nothing but good things from every offensive lineman about
Right.
him. Like one thing, the knock on him was he has like stone feet, like
Slow. Yeah. Slow.
sluggish feet, and everyone is saying his get off. Cody Mock,
Mhm.
uh, Graham Barton, they're all saying like how quickly he gets up into a defender
Yeah.
right off the snap. I'm like, what the hell? Like, did no one do any film study on him then? Because clearly they're saying otherwise. And they're like looking into him, like, how the hell is he doing this? And we already saw the athletic traits that Graham Barton has, and he's saying how Elijah Klein's flying off the ball. Like, so that's something I'm excited to see. I'm excited to see. I know this isn't a rookie, but Robert Hainsey, how does he take to?
Mhm.
Is this a competition, or is he truly now he's a backup, right? Like,
Yeah.
what's going on there? And then clearly, I'm just ready to see the second team. I
Mhm.
think you touched on this like earlier in the week. Like, Kyle Trask is going to have fun. I
Yeah.
mean, talk about depth. Talk about all the weapons he's going to have. He's going to have Trey Palmer and Jalen McMillan to throw to
Mhm.
a lot in volume. Cameron Johnson, another guy that's been
Yeah.
turning heads. Like, there's a lot of talent on this team. Devin Culp, right?
Mhm.
So there's going to be a lot of options and competition where guys are going to want to make a team, and you're going to see a second team that is going to be competitive. It's not going to be how in years past where it's like second Brady got out, it was like, oh,
Mhm.
here comes a 30-3 loss. I mean, either way, preseason's preseason, but
Yeah.
you're going to see guys really going balls to the walls to make the roster, because even Trask said it today. He's like, this is a good team. I want to be ready if I do get my name called,
Mhm.
not to take a step back. Like, we're wanting to go places. We're wanting to move forward, and I don't want to let the team down. And that's clearly because they have expectations where they are good enough to be a playoff team. Can they be even further? Can they go further?
Mhm.
And that's where we're hoping to get to, bearing injury and stuff like that. But I mean, I think we've taken a step forward in offensive system, and that's where I want to see the most
Yeah.
change, I guess.
Yeah, I think, a lot of good things you talked about there as far as, Kyle Trask. I think it's very important preseason for him, just to continue to show well as far as his game and continue to take those steps. He's made strides pretty much every season. He's gotten better. You want to see that continue and hopefully he can develop well in this system. It remains to be seen if he's going to be back next season. He's going to be a free agent entering the 2025 season. Probably wants to go somewhere where he can start. Or he could continue to stay here in Tampa. Being a backup quarterback is not a bad gig at all. It's pretty nice, and maybe we'll just have to see how that plays out. But I think Kyle is still a really good quarterback. I think if he had to step in for some reason, I think this team would be okay. I think they would be able to manage the ship and play well. As brutal as Bucs is, he loves Trask. So Trask time it is, and I don't know if we'll see that this season, but definitely we're going to see it. We're going to see it for the preseason coming up here. So yeah, it's a fun time, and really good depth. I think that's what you basically pointed out. I think there's depth across the board, which is really good, and yeah, really excited to see how it's going to shape up here.
I mean, in all honesty, Baker Mayfield was always going to be the head above Trask last season. I mean, he was the veteran.
Yeah.
He has more playing time, more experience. He had playoff experience. A guy that's a natural born leader, can get into a room and control it. Trask was more of a slower learner. We've learned that. But he has the height, arm ability. He can do just about anything. It's just he's slow to get to it, but then once he gets to it, he's actually pretty good, right? Every step of the way, that's how he's been.
Yeah.
Will he ever get that opportunity here? No one knows. I mean, again, Baker's play style, does he stop going, let me get that 4th and 1? I don't know. Let's see. But that's why you do need a proven guy. I'm not gonna say he's proven, but still, a guy that has ability like Trask. And I still have hope for him. Will it be in a Bucs uniform? I doubt it, but you never know, right? You get the opportunity to get in there and you start playing games, you can get yourself a big contract somewhere. But I just hope it's not this year.
Right. Yeah. I think, Baker, proved himself last year that, he is definitely the quarterback for this team. And, now getting this contract and his ability to, get comfortable now and really dig in to the system that's being brought in here by Liam Coen. He's got a really good team around him. The offensive line should be better, especially on the interior. So I think, things to look for this weekend. Obviously, we mentioned some undrafted guys. We talked about the rookie class. All of that's going to be fun to watch. Another thing that I think we're all excited to see is how this offensive system is run. Now, obviously, it's going to be very vanilla. We're not going to see a lot in preseason, but just the way, the play calls by Coen and kind of the flow of the game, that is something to definitely look and see how it goes with these guys. Now, the execution is probably going to be a little spotty just because it's new. It's new for everyone here on the team. So hopefully they can grasp it quickly, but by all accounts, it seems like they're picking it up pretty good. So now we just got to hope that translates to the field. So, yeah, a lot of good things so far. We talked about, the injuries, so far minimum, which is great. Rookies, all of them looking like ready to contribute right away. Yeah, man, and also the Bengals are going to play their starters this week. I heard that Joe Burrow is actually going to play Saturday. So that's nice. So that'll be good just to see how he does, probably most likely against our second team. See if our second team can, stand up to the challenge.
Good luck.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's on both accounts, right?
Right.
I mean, yeah, preseason is preseason. The starters, unless there's a strong competition, I mean, there's no one that's really going to play. Mike is definitely not going to play.
Right.
I doubt Baker plays. Chris Godwin doesn't need to play. I mean, a lot of our offensive guys don't need to play. I would check to see if Graham Barton plays a lot. I mean, we ran Cody Mock and Luke Gedeke literally the entirety of the preseason last season. Yeah. So I wouldn't see why Graham Barton wouldn't get a huge amount of reps, especially him and Hainsey, since that's the competition. Preseason pretty much is locked in now. unless they're thinking about Hainsey moving over, which I haven't heard anything of that.
Right.
So, I mean, I don't know. I think offensively, just see your second team. Defensively, you touched on this earlier about Chris Braswell if he does potentially take over as starting later.
Yeah.
Could you imagine 2 years in a row, JTS getting bumped for a rookie? Could you imagine?
Yeah.
I mean, I know Yaya and him are very similar players, very powerful, big
Mhm.
hands, and that's what this offense or this defense to me honestly needs, like a stronger outside linebacker with powerful hands that can win a one-on-one.
Mhm.
Not necessarily just speed, but like a guy that can hold the edge because that's their first line of defense, stop the
Yeah.
run, right? This is what it's
Yeah.
always been. But now with Kalijah Cansey, like that's madness. But the true bookends to me in this defense should be what Yaya is. And I think if you have that same mold with Chris Braswell, that's what they're looking for.
Yeah.
But GTS is just that puzzle piece. Like, where can he fit in? Does he take the next step? I mean, I'm looking for that, but that competition is going to be strong. But overall, that's where a lot of youth and fun, which doesn't really get talked about, of our defense, I has very high potential. I mean, I'm really excited to see what we're going to do this year with this defense. Again, bearing injuries, and can we get pressure from that outside?
Yeah, I think a couple positions just to watch for, this weekend and throughout the preseason. I think I'll start with running back. I think running back, behind Rashad White, who can kind of take that number 2 mantle, kind of by the thorns and really take it head on. You look at, Chase Edmonds has been out with an injury pretty much the entirety of training camp. So not sure if they're really going to be counting on him, especially early on in the season. You look at Bucky Irving, obviously is probably a top, runner to be that number 2 guy, but a name to watch that a lot of people were talking about this time last year was Sean Tucker. And Sean Tucker has been playing well, overall in training camp. And we'll see if his improvement has, really come to fruition. And maybe Sean Tucker can be someone they can count on, this year. I know they're going to utilize him and Bucky Irving and the kickoff return, which will be exciting to see how that plays out. Trey Palmer doing the punt returns, so that will be interesting as well. So yeah, I'm looking at running back, receiver behind the top 4 guys that we talked about so far. Tight end, who steps up at tight end? Is it going to be Payne Durham? Is it going to be, Devin Culp or one of these other guys to step up?
I mean, so think about this, what you mentioned with the running backs.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I know he's a veteran. He had little spurts last year. Chase Edmonds.
Yep.
Again, he's injured again, right? So he hasn't been able to play as much. Does Sean Tucker play so well in preseason that where it's like, okay, well, you may be a veteran, may know what you're doing. And Rashad White talks about how much he's good for him in the locker room and just in life in general. But we're looking for the best 53, right? We're looking for the best players. Does Sean Tucker take that next step and take that from him, right? I mean, this is a business, and we need the best guys out there. And if you let Sean Tucker have a 100-yard game or multiple good games, are you just going to let him try and get to the practice squad again? I mean, like running backs, it's hard to keep them healthy. If you have 3 really good ones that have speed, that can catch a ball, I want to keep them, right? There's a lot more tread on his tires than there are on Chase Edmonds. Clearly, he's getting injured, right? Sean Tucker just has the ticker that was in question, but now it's proven pretty much a fresh bill of health, right? So I don't know. Let's see. That's going to be a big competition to me. Receivers just going to be fun. I think overall, I mean, who your top 5 are.
Yep.
I think it's going to be the last one. That's going to be the question mark. And I mean, really, like it's just the special teams guys who's going to do it, right? Other than that, like hopefully they play Logan Hall all preseason. Let's see.
Yeah, that was going to be my next position. Just looking at the interior defensive line, who's going to step up as like that fourth guy, or 4 to 6 really. You look at obviously the starters are going to be Kalijah Cansey, Vita Vea, um, Logan Hall as well. And then after those three, you have William Golston potentially, Mike Green, who got playing time last year. And then after that, it's really up for grabs. Is it going to be, we look at, Greg Gaines. I forgot about Greg Gaines. So Greg Gaines, William Golston, Mike Green, those are most likely your 6, but does someone play well enough to beat one of those guys out? Is Judge Culpepper, we talked about him in a video, is he someone that's going to step up and maybe beat one of those players out? CJ Brewer, Eric Banks is another one. So just that'll be intriguing. But yeah, Logan Hall again is another guy that we're hoping for the best. If he can just be consistent and be not a liability on the field, that's the biggest question for him. And then that outside linebacker room, I think, we already touched on it, but it's going to be really fun to see Jose Ramirez for the first time. The 6th round pick for the Buccaneers last year. So obviously they still think very highly of him. He's got a lot of potential. Marquise Watts as well. So yeah, that's going to be a fun group just to see how it shakes out.
I'm ready to see both of them in the game together.
Yeah.
What would that look like? Jose Ramirez and Marquise Watts on the outside,
right,
just flying around. Like, that's going to be fun to see. That is going to be a really exciting game to watch and film study to look at. Like, to see what the hell they are doing, how they're bending, how they're twisting, what fakes are given. Like, it's a whole other animal looking at an Anthony Nelson and like Yaya Diaby, guys that just rely on length, power, size. And then you got guys that are trying to fly off the edge, trying to get under you, trying to give you fake shimmies, shoulder moves. Like, it's a lot of fun things to watch and things that we aren't really accustomed to. And I think that's why it's fun to see in like a different flavor. Like, say on your first down through third down, you're facing Yaya, Chris Braswell, Anthony Nelson, JTS, bigger, lengthier guys. Third down, they bring in a damn blitz package where you're like, who the hell is this guy? Who the hell is Marquise Watts? Like, is this just another linebacker? Like, he's going to drop back? What the hell is this? And then all of a sudden they do a stunt with like Kalijah Cansey. You're like, oh shit, I'm done. It's going to be fun and exciting to see. And I think Marquise Watts is primed for like a big showing, almost like the Shaq Barrett when if you didn't think he was going to make the team.
Yeah,
I still remember that.
Yeah.
Look at that. Look at that. Marquise Watts, 58. He's even got Shaq Barrett's number.
Yeah, so this is just a little highlight clip of him against the Titans. We've obviously shown this in multiple videos this offseason just because very excited for his ability. And he just has different ways of winning. He can, win with power, win with speed, athleticism, flying to the football. He's got a lot to his game that hopefully, we see that even advance this year. I think last year it was more about understanding where to be in your drops, understanding how to set the edge, and not be a liability on first and second down. So that's where he's got to step up. And then Jose Ramirez, kind of same thing. They're very similar players. That is something that hopefully they become more complete and they can stay on the field longer. And that will be a big test this weekend because they're going to get a lot of playing time. I don't think we'll see. I mean, we'll probably see lots of Chris Braswell, I'm sure. Yeah. Anthony Nelson, Joe Tryon-Shoyinka. Obviously, Yaya's not playing. So you're going to see a lot of Chris Braswell, Ramirez, Watts, and then their backups, Daniel Greziak and Sean Peterson Jr., Jay Pearson. All those guys are going to play a bunch of snaps, which will be fun. And then lastly, another position I think that Bucs fans have talked about maybe a little too much this offseason, in my opinion, and that's the cornerback room. I think this cornerback room is very underrated. I think Zion McCollum is going to shock a lot of people. I know there's concerns with Zion being that guy, coming off of Carlton Davis being traded, but Zion's showed so much ability last year. And I think now his understanding of the game, understanding of defenses, and just wanting to be great. Like, Todd Bowles, I think his favorite player on this team is Zion McCollum. It's like obvious how he talks about him. And I think he's going to have a really good year. So you'll probably see him a little bit in this game. I don't think Jamel Dean's going to play because he's so injury prone, and that's what's kind of scary with Jamel Dean. And you have Bryce Hall, who's come in from the Jets, who's going to be exciting. Tyreek Thunderberg, I already mentioned. Obviously, Tyke Smith versus Christian Isian. That's going to be a close watch. And then you have like Keenan Isaac from last year, Chris McDonald, another undrafted free agent, Josh Hayes, another rookie draft pick from last year. It's just seeing how these guys shape up and see what they can do.
Yeah, clearly you're going to rely heavily on Jamel Dean and Zion McCollum this year. I understand the concern based off of how injury prone our Bucs corners have always been. Well, one thing I guess you can kind of lean on, Zion McCollum is almost never hurt, right? So, I mean, knock on wood, of course. But athletically, those are probably the two most athletic corners we've ever had.
Yes.
Like Zion McCollum and Jamel Dean both run clearly 4.3, 4.35, 40.
Yep.
I think like they did the ask the player, like, who do you think is rated the fastest on Madden? Almost all of them said Jamel Dean.
Yeah.
And they're like, oh no, never mind, Trey Palmer because he's a receiver. But they're like, no, Jamel Dean's the fastest damn guy we got in this squad, right? Clearly.
Yeah.
So I mean, even Trey Palmer said, he's like, what did they say, Dean? Oh no, they probably picked me though. So like Jamel Dean may be injury prone, and when he is injured, you can tell it. He plays injured. Like it's not going all out. Like when he is healthy, he is a hell of a player. He's very in your face, gets hands on balls. He just doesn't come down with them. Right. And now in training camp, he's coming down with it.
He's catching them.
Right. So hopefully this is something to see. Zion McCollum, a guy that's always around the ball from year 1 to year 2, year 3. Like he's only gotten better. Now it's time to start, get those repetitions in it. Neil, welcome to the chat. Bring it out. Any questions or concerns you have on the defense, especially this cornerback room. But the thing is, when one of them does get hurt, who does come in? Like, is there a consistent? McCollum, is Bryce Hall that guy? But he's another guy. It's very injury prone. So it's like that's the concern I have. It's not necessarily are they good enough. I mean, Carlton Davis did not play like the guy last year at all. Like there was no where he's like, oh, he's falling number 1. He's locked down. No. I'm surprised that we got what we got for him. I ended up watching what was the show with the Lions?
Hard Knocks.
Wasn't no, because they went in the season. Oh, it was with the receivers, I think.
On Netflix?
Yeah. They were following Ross and Brown.
Yeah.
And they interviewed our main man, the head coach.
Oh, Dan Campbell.
And he's like, the Buccaneers, talking about the playoff games, the Buccaneers have one of the best combos of press man corners on the outside, and Jamel Dean and Carlton Davis. Little did we know he trades for him in the offseason after.
Right.
But I mean, in my opinion, like maybe Davis played that game well, but the whole entirety of the season, if you look at it in a whole, he lost his confidence many times. He was hurt at times. He just couldn't lean on it, right? As a consistent player, like you do with Levante David, year after year after year. You know what he's going to bring. There's no swaying his confidence or understanding of what the hell he needs to do, right? So, I mean, Zion McCollum, he has every trait you want. He has the smarts. It seems like it. Let's see it come to fruition. It's more what happens when one of them probably does get hurt, right? Do we have an option 2 or we don't get slaughtered based off?
Yeah, I mean, you look at the corner depth, obviously, Dean and McCollum, you would love for them to stay healthy. But again, cornerback position is a position that is subject to injuries. And I think that goes across the league. It just happens. Bryce Hall, I do like. I think he's a very good fit for what this defense likes to do. And he played very well, especially when he was called upon to be the starter a few years ago. And when he did play in, backup or like sub, time, he showed promise. He showed good things. So very consistent on that front. Now you're just hoping one of these other guys can step up too into the fold, whether that's a Tavier Thomas. I know they're working him at the slot and also at the 2 safety positions. You look at Keenan Isaac and Josh Hayes, Tyreek Thunderberg. I think those three names, one of those guys got to really step up and hopefully can be, if needed to play, can be reliable. And again, that remains to be seen. But obviously, you want your top three guys to stay healthy, the people that we mentioned, and then at the safety room, we talked about this a bunch over the live streams this offseason and just overall videos. Jordan Whitehead can't go underrated. Like, this guy is so good for this team. It's going to help us out a bunch. And also the backup safeties, I'm really excited. Like Kayvon Merriweather, really excited to see what he can do this preseason. Marcus Banks, Rashad Wisdom, another duo undrafted guys that looking very good. But just overall versatility that this team has, and you can do so many different looks. I think that's going to be fun for Todd Bowles. So overall, this team, a lot to be excited about. I think the coaching staff, like you said, and we're going to get into this in a little bit here with the running game. Coaching staff has been upgraded. I think Todd Bowles has understand what he needs around him, and I think he's improving as well. But the overall staff, I think, is just top to bottom 100% better. And I think that's going to be shown hopefully this weekend, where certain aspects are going to be much more improved.
I want to touch on this again. I know we've said it again all off season, but Jordan Whitehead means everything. I mean, the ability to communicate amongst everyone on the defense. Like from years past, if you always don't remember, the guy usually was always in the right place. Yeah. And Winfield makes the plays, right, majority of the time, but Whitehead's literally there to make a game-saving tackle, a breakup of a pass, a pressure, a run stop. Like he's literally like an additional linebacker, but he can cover tight ends. Yes, he's not going to make the giant interception or fly around. Like that's just not his game, but maybe he does take that step in this one. But he's usually very knowledgeable of where he needs to be, telling people where the hell they need to be, and getting everyone on the same page, right? It was just Antoine Winfield Jr., but we're using him every which damn way because he was that weapon. Right now, you have two guys that understand what the hell they need to do, and they can relay the information to everyone that's in front of them. That is huge, guys. Huge. Especially with an offense that now we are hoping is going to be trying to confuse everyone. And they have two safeties that have understood it a whole training camp to see what a confusing offense looks like and what are the answers to it, right? If they don't give it to this guy, where am I supposed to be? Letting the rest of the team know. And I think that's Whitehead's that's literally been my guy when you pound on the table for a guy since his college years in Pittsburgh, right? Like I was like, this is the guy. And we got him, let him get away. He's back. Hopefully he stays for a long time. And the new number, I'm just excited to see. And it's just, there's so much depth behind that. Like you just said of Tavier Thomas training as a safety, Tyke Smith training as a safety, but he's probably going to be our nickel. Right. Even though Christian Izien was a damn good nickel last season as an undrafted rookie free agent. What competition is that going to be? How do they interchange them at safety? Like there's going to be so many ways they can use all these safeties / nickel backs. It's just a fun way of blitz packages, fake zones. Like it's going to be fun. It's going to be fun to watch. That's the room where I'm like, yeah, I'm confident. And in the safety room, nickel backs.
Yeah.
They're good there.
Yeah, absolutely. So, yeah, I mean, there's our rundown. We pretty much went through the offense, defense, and just, some key positions to look out for, especially in preseason with these younger guys that are going to get a great opportunity. And, the Bucs always find, these undrafted guys to make the roster and contribute. Last year, the big one was Christian Izien, like Mark mentioned, and it's going to be fun to see, not only just watching special teams because of the new kickoff rules and how that's implemented and who's on special teams and what are the personnel groupings on offense and defense, along with, roster breakdown. And when we get into cuts, how many running backs do they keep? Do they keep 4? I know Mark was talking about keeping 3, and maybe Chase Edmonds is that veteran practice squad guy. That remains to be seen. So, yeah, a lot to digest, but I think we're going to turn our attention to, I want to get into the Buccaneers running game. I know this has also been talked about a lot this offseason, and I think this is the biggest difference between Liam Coen and Dave Canales. It's his run game construction and how he calls the run game. So yeah, we're gonna pull this up on the screen. We're gonna go, yep, full screen there. So this first play here, this is what we call a duo wrap, and right here they're in. It looks like 11, 11 personnel. They got the one tight end, or well, yeah,
That's two tight ends.
Two tight ends. Okay, so we're actually in 12 personnel here. So this is duo wrap, 12 personnel. So basically, you have a guy come in motion and then another guy come in motion here. So basically, you're faking that option there, giving eye candy, setting up the outside blocks as well. But basically, duo is you're double teaming. Basically, the down lineman here. You're creating alleyways for the running back, and this is going to be a staple that you're going to see for the Buccaneers run offense. You'll probably see this play quite often this weekend against the Cincinnati Bengals. And you can see how the double teams work their ways up the levels, and you get a nice, solid, 5-yard gain there on 2nd and 8. And that's what you want from your running game. Be effective and efficient. And you can see how, the tight end working his way up. Yep. Then you also have the right tackle working his guy to the second level. So there's just a lot of things. But look at all the eye candy there because of number 2 going in motion. It just sets up the gap. Guys get out of position here. You can go to the end zone view here in a second, but you can just see how the guys get out of spot here. Like, those guys are already shifting to the left because of that motion, and then you're coming back the other way.
Yeah, so this is a prime example of what could the offense do. It's not just this one damn play. What can we do with this later in the season, or not later in the season, later in the game, right?
Mm-hmm.
You're reading what guys are doing in front of you. What can you take advantage of that they're giving away, right? And that's a layer of offensive mentality and scheme that I just don't think necessarily Dave Canales had. He just kind of ran the same damn thing a lot, especially in the running game. And look at this. This is outside stuff. Where would Dave Canales run it? Right there, right there, right there. That's about damn it. Okay, I don't care what the stats say. Maybe later in the games we ran some certain things, but early on, 70% of the time, 75% of the time, that's probably where we're going. But my thing is, the guy that's no longer here, 45, they're just reading him, watch the right tackle, have enough time to block Sue, get to the second level, get 45. And look at this, boom, duo block that he was just mentioning. Look at the push, the movement of the defensive lineman, getting to the second level at your tight end. Hopefully that's K. Dotton holding the guy. Look at this block setup. That is phenomenal, beautiful view. And this is what I'm talking about. It's the same similar thing. Last time, the guy, it was a fake, right, to the jet sweep, and then they ran the opposite way. Look what happens on this play. The jet sweep. Oh, they're probably going to go this way, right? No, it's not. It's going the same damn way. But then it's the offensive coordinator, the guy upstairs. What's going on? Who's biting? Who's not? And how are these blocks setting up? But plus, the blocking scheme's a little bit different here, bringing up a question of why this is different as well.
Yeah, so here now we call this outside zone with a fake jet sweep going across, and you have a wrap or a slide going behind it. So you have Cooper Kupp coming in on the sweep, and then you're going to have the other receiver up top there. He's going to come basically as a slide to either take out the backside defender, or he's going to go release out for a pass. And that's where Mark is talking about setting things up for the future, where this play could be a pass option where that motion receiver is probably open on the backside here, where he slips out. You just throw him the ball out into the flat, and you have things later on in the game. But this is a nice run, gets a nice gain here, 14 yards. We'll go to the end zone view here, but
one more thing. Look at 48. Like, based off what you just said, like, this guy can get wide open in the flat, right? So watch 48 have to read what the hell. Okay, there's a guy coming down. Oh, wait, do I continue going after the run? Do I stop and go back with this receiver? He's thinking. That's what you want as an offense, getting the players thinking, what the hell are they doing? Like, why is there so many guys moving? We didn't have much of that. especially in Byron Leftwich offense. We got a little bit of it in Dave Canales. Now we're taking it to a whole other level. It's going to be fun, guys. It's going to be fun. But plus, keep going.
Yeah, absolutely. But like you said, getting these guys to think on defense, I think, is a very important aspect. And just that slight hesitation opens up so much for your running back. So now that backside defender can't cut off the running back here because he's thinking. And then it just opens up alleyways. You get guys moving, and it's a great run here. You pick up 14 yards, and that sets things up for, different plays later on in the game. This is in, I think, the second quarter of this game. So just great stuff there to see from the run offense. So duo wrap is going to be, obviously a big theme. And then outside zone runs with this kind of motion attached to it, you're going to see pretty much this often. And especially in the preseason coming up, I'm sure we'll see some of this, which will be fun to see if they can execute it, at an efficient rate.
Yeah, and then a couple other things I kind of saw. So athletic center in this offense is very much needed.
Oh,
Look
yeah.
where he starts, look where he ends up to get a block. So that's why we're saying Graham Barton, probably really damn good for this offense, if I can hit the play button here. Where he starts again, look where he gets down to for that linebacker, right? Look how far away from the ball he starts, where he ends up attacking a linebacker, getting after it. And then secondly, the tight end. Check out, it's all zone blocking. So they have just areas where they need to just be, right? So the center was the only one that really chased after a guy because he had no one to block, right? So everyone else was in his zone. Get the guy that's technically in your area, right? And then the tight end over here, okay, I have an area where I need to get to a guy, right? Because I know I'm not going out for a pass. I need to get in a block. There he is. Cade Otton, if you can block like you did in the second half of the season as opposed to the first half, we'll be fine. We'll be golden. Because the first half, he didn't look good. He got better in the second half. But those two positions are areas where you can see 2 and 3 yard gains go for 5 to 8 yard gains. And we're looking fourth quarter where they're sprouting out for like 20 to 30 yard gains. So I'm excited to see that potential.
Yeah, definitely. So I think overall that's what I've been, harping on this offseason. Mark and I that's the big difference that we see when you study a Liam Coen offense, especially at Kentucky, how they were able to run the football consistently. You look at who was it? Ray Davis. He was their running back last year, or the last couple of years, but he had success because of how Liam Coen was calling the game and how he set things up visually and made the defense work. So that was really important, and I think you're going to see that. And Mark talked about it. That's why these rookies were brought in, like Graham Barton, perfect fit for the offense because he's going to be in the middle, super athletic guy that can, move around, get upfield, take guys off, their feet and get things opened up because he is that athletic. And what is his strength? Run blocking. So, that's going to be really cool to see. Ben Bredesen, same thing, guy that can move and be powerful when he gets on defenders. Cody Mock, he's athletic as they come. Like we saw him running with Rashad White last year on screens. Like so, and I think Rashad already talked about it. Super athletic offensive line, and man, we didn't even talk about Tristan Wirfs, the big money bags man. But Tristan, getting his contract, which was well deserved, and getting him locked up, getting Antoine Winfield, Baker locked up, Mike Evans, it's setting things up for this window that the Buccaneers are currently in. And I don't think many fans or, national media thought we would be here where we are today, especially after Tom Brady leaving. And, is Baker going to be that guy? And now we don't have to worry about that going into this year. So I feel the team is at ease. And I think it's just great vibes right now. And really it's going to come down to, can this team stay healthy and can they, execute, which I think you got to feel confident as a Bucs fan, knowing that's the two things that could hold you back.
Yeah, 100% agree with everything you just said there. And there's always going to be injury. Execution wise, can Baker hit that deep ball, which he missed a lot last season? Let's be honest, 100% he did miss it, especially to Trey Palmer. Right. He just didn't take that option sometimes. When he did, he would just miss it blatantly. And their connection deep with Mike Evans was off. He'd have to underthrow it because he'd overthrow it a lot.
Yeah.
if that hits, you're seeing an explosive offense that is disgusting, right?
Mm,
Yeah, because even in Oklahoma, like a lot of his deep passes were so quick because the offensive philosophy and scheme got the defense just
right.
confused immediately off the snaps. It was like he could just loft it, like, okay, there you go, right? But then in Cleveland, you saw he was doing back shoulder fades to the outside on the sideline so
Mm,
perfectly. I'm like, what is going on here? Like, let's get that timing here. If he can get that down, this offense is going to be scary. And
mm,
another cool thing, even Mike Evans was saying how like Tristan Wirfs is probably the best player on the team, and that's above him. A guy
yeah.
that's a Hall of Famer right now is saying how good Tristan Wirfs is, and that's a guy we didn't even mention. Who I guess he doesn't need to be mentioned because he's going to be the most consistently good player on the damn team,
Mhm.
from right tackle to left tackle. Like, and he got better. How the hell is that possible?
Yeah.
So, I mean, yeah, the window is now,
Mm,
and it can be for the future too, because yes, bearing we get additional receivers that are healthier and younger, yeah,
mm,
it could be for a long damn time. But right now, the
right.
window 2-3 years, let's get it and let's go
Mhm.
after it.
Yeah, absolutely. And you talked about, yeah, Baker obviously hitting the deep ball, but just looking at the team overall, it's funny. I heard this morning that this is going to be Jason Light's 11th season here in Tampa, which is just crazy to think about. It feels like just yesterday we were talking about the Mike Evans versus Johnny Manziel, draft conversation, and and obviously that worked out very well with them taking Mike Evans. But it just going back to those off seasons where the plan was kind of up in the air, like there wasn't really a decisive strategy as far as drafting and free agency obviously was hit or miss during those early years of Jason Light. And then all of a sudden, I think it was after the OJ Howard draft, and starting with the Vita Vea, that's where they started to figure things out, starting to put things together, um, and really drafting better. Go from 2020 with obviously the home runs of future Hall of Famers of Antoine Winfield and Tristan Wirfs. Like that's just amazing. And then obviously the free agent process got a lot better. And then these last two drafts, I think, have been home runs all the way through. With 23 last year and this year, both really strong, mature classes. And we're also seeing other players step up from like the 21 draft class. Like Mark, I don't know how many times I've told you about KJ Britt and how excited I am about this dude, but like I just feel like his game has continued to elevate every single year. He's not the most athletic, but this guy just loves the game. Very smart, intelligent football player that knows the scheme inside and out, and ultimate leader. Like everybody talks so highly of him, and I can't wait to see him play. I think he's going to take some heads off, and he's going to be fierce on defense. So yeah, he's definitely just the whole vibe, like getting guys like that really care about the game. Kalijah Cansey, stud. Like, I mean, I play these highlights over and over again. And the guy's just he's gonna be that dude. I really think he's gonna be that guy that continues to elevate, and we could see a star player emerge this season. I think that's definitely one of the storylines to watch out for.
Yeah, he's mentioning Kalijah Cansey big time. He didn't put up the biggest numbers of sacks last season, but the pressures and then when he came at the brightest moments, right? Both
Yeah.
playoff games, he was unblockable, guys. I mean, yes, he only had a sack and a half in 2 games, but shit, like
Mhm.
he could have had 3 or 4, like easily.
Yeah.
And a lot of the times, like they just couldn't do anything. Like it was let's get the ball out faster because he's right there. And if you have a guy like Elijah Cansey and Vita Vea attacking the middle, the outside is going to be so easy. That's what they've been wanting for years and years. And it
Mhm.
can be happening this year. I mean, these are throwaways that could have been sacks. For a defensive tackle, it's tough. Like they
Right.
see you coming, they're going to get rid of it. Outside guys, you don't see them really coming till the end, right? It's more of a timing thing. So Elijah Cansey, that's a playoff game where he just went nuts again.
Yeah.
It's
He
probably
was
gonna be a lot of highlights from this game and the Lions game because he was all over the damn place.
Oh yeah.
But I mean, this guy, he gives the vibes of like Levante David, a quiet, confident guy that knows how to get his shit done and how to talk to guys around him. Like, because Vita Vea talks about him like if he's already a proven star, like a guy, he's got ability, he's always going to do it. I'm like, what the hell? Like, this isn't like it's Devin White. This is more of a guy that he's talking the talk and he's walking the walk. He's not being too rah-rah. He just knows what needs to get done to win a game. And I love that type of guy.
Yeah.
And I just think like you just said, he could be on the verge of being a star this year based off of who he's playing next to, the defense he's in, and this guy's not being able to block him. It's just it's gonna be a fun watch. Fun watch.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think we'll close the show with this. Like, I think the biggest thing is on both sides of the ball, we don't have that guy that is talking about himself or talking about, personal goals or putting that above the team. And everyone has heard the interview with Devin White, for the Eagles, and like just the things he said and started blaming other factors for his downfall and his inconsistent play and his lack of accountability. And I think that's why I love KJ Britt so much. It's just so different. And the mindset, the attitude, how he carries himself, the leadership, is just a lot better, I think. And this is a comparison to for Devin White. I think we saw too much of Jameis Winston, to be honest, and Devin White. Like, just that vibe that he gave off. It was just way kind of over the top to say. And the play was just so up and down that we didn't know what we were getting.
Yeah, so much ability.
Yep.
But just their own head beat them, right?
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, I remember like if it was yesterday.
Yeah.
Gold jacket guy. No matter what, he's going to be it. This is You're going to be the next Ray Lewis. I'm like, are we seeing the same thing? Are we really just based off because he can run real fast and hit someone really hard, look like a gator pulling him down? Like, he's also running the wrong way too fast. And I remember saying that, and I was like,
yeah.
And that gets to the head of a guy, and then he's running a 4.3 40 because there was a race or something during COVID. Like, oh, let's get all the guys racing. Okay, I don't know. I agree. And then he's saying he needed to be in a big market to get because he's that type of guy that can get fans in the seats or he's marketable. Like, what the hell are you talking about? It's a team game. You're trying to win first. It's not about you first, right? I think it's been the longest time. People who follow our channel know how we felt about him. And I agree with you. I mean, it's KJ Britt's a no nonsense type of guy.
Yeah.
Prime time shit talker and a guy that's going to put winning over everything. And sometimes Devin White didn't do that. I mean, I remember the Falcons game.
Yeah.
The Falcons game where we're beating the crap out of them. And then all of a sudden they came back and almost won the game at the end. Right. And he said, "Oh, well, we pulled back when you're physically imposing your will on another team and you're beating them. You pull back a little bit. Bull fucking shit. I couldn't believe that. Like that was my ultimate. Like, no, Devin White, get the hell out of here. Like, bullshit. You never do that.
Yeah, yeah. And I find it funny that last year when we were going through that lull, and then finally KJ Britt got that start against Green Bay, and then all of a sudden everything clicked. Like we started dominating on both sides of the ball. We were finding ways to, well, I wouldn't say dominate on both sides of the ball, but defensively we started playing a lot better, more consistent. And guess what? We won games. We finished strong to end the season, and we were really close to getting to that NFC Championship game. So I think there's just that overall good vibes of this team. The camaraderie, the chemistry is really high. And that's important, especially when, going into a season, you're going to face ups and downs, but this team is going to find ways to pull things together and figure it out. And that's what is the difference between finishing maybe 7-10 versus what they did finish 9-8 and making it a run in the postseason. I think, and that's why I like this team to repeat as NFC South champs. Not seeing the hype with Atlanta. I know they're going to be better potentially, but this team is still the top until someone can knock them off, in my opinion, when it comes to the NFC South.
Oh, no doubt. And then they're not questioning of, okay, they got a really good coaching staff. Raheem Morris, hell of a defensive coordinator.
Right.
And new offense that fits Kirk Cousins. I mean, Liam Coen knows that offense too. So he can tell the defense what the hell is going to happen. It can happen both ways. And I value or I trust our defense a lot more than I trust Atlanta's defense.
Yeah.
I don't know if you think our edge rushers are bad. Have you seen theirs? Right.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I would lean on our stars over theirs any day of the week, especially on defense. Offensively, they got a lot of names and talented players. But, I mean, you got to put it together. I mean, it's not the same as Tom Brady coming over to a stacked offense. Like, Pitts had one great year, and then what's been going on? Right? And Drake London is not Mike Evans. I know he's a potentially Mike Evans, but he's not him yet. Right? And then who's their number two? You're hoping the Bears guy. But, I mean, it's a lot of – to me, there's question marks. And you got a great running back. Don't get me wrong. Great. But we know about running backs. They get hurt.
Yeah.
If you lean on him too much, whoops. But yeah, let's see. Let's see what happens, right? Like you just said, I agree with you. I'm leaning on us to be favored, which by media standards won't be likely, but based off our continuity, hopefully ability to get better on offense and defensively, just consistency. I think it's going to be next. But before we leave, I want to say this as well. I'm going to add this to it. I'm playing this because in a few hours, our beloved Michael Plus is aging another year.
Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you.
Plus, happy early birthday by
thank you. No, yeah. Yeah, no, I appreciate every single one of you guys in here. Thank you, Mark, for that. Yes, definitely looking forward to the weekend. Obviously watching the Buccaneers play some football, so that'll be fun. But do us a favor, be sure to hit that like button. Comment down below your thoughts of, just what we discussed. If you have any, comments or anything that you guys want to bring up, feel free to leave it down below. We appreciate every single one of you. All the support that you guys give us, day in, day out is awesome. So we're looking forward to it. Hopefully we can bring you guys more content. It's going to probably be a little slow. I'm just going to let you, I know, a little warning. It's going to be a little slow towards the end of this month. I will be out of town for about 2 weeks. I'll be back Labor Day weekend. Hit the ground running for Bucs coverage. So yeah, I'm hoping we can do this again next week and go live and talk the game, and hopefully we can get some film for you guys and really show what the offense is looking like and how they're running it, and certain players that we talked about as well, and highlight them. So yeah, I think that's all we got, but appreciate everyone in here. Go Bucs, hit that like button. And yeah, we'll see you on the next one.
Thanks, guys.